As we looked at in other videos, the announcement board is a great place to communicate with the students. Now, you may have certain guidelines that the schools have to be successful. This is a way they're going to grade you on assessment of giving you more classes. Now, just like any requirements they may have with discussion boards, there's more than likely going to be a certain number of announcements that you need to post. Traditionally, it's one per week, one per unit, one per module, or no more than 7 days in between each announcement. There are traditionally specific announcements that each school says you need to post. Some will put them in there for you, some will just tell you, and here's some samples you download, put them in there. There's also, on top of that, some other welcome announcements that you should be posting in your classes, and I'll have a specific video just on those welcome announcements. But this is also a time where I want you to understand, you make sure that you get the certain amount of announcements that the school has. What I traditionally try to do is, if a class tells me to, or a school tells me to do one a week, I'll do 2, possibly 3. I'll do, like if I create a study guide, I'll do that. I'll post an announcement, wrap up of the unit or the week, an introduction to the next unit or the week. I'll also post, hey, the grades are done, so they're not emailing or asking, or any other additional information. So right there, I'm getting 4 or 5 per week. You know, again, you don't want to inundate them, but you want, you know, especially at least post when grades are done. And any other pertinent information. And some schools have requirements that you need to have an introduction to the next coming unit, or a summary of the unit that we just covered, or maybe there's a problem with, like, you have a paper that students all had problems with citations on, or majority did. Maybe a general announcement. Here's an extra video. Here's some additional information on citing information. Something that could be used by the entire class. There are ways to, in eCollege and Blackboard and Angel, to set announcements to post at certain times, and we'll get in that in more advanced ways, and that really saves you time and kind of eases. You can set that all up at front, and we'll talk about that in the more advanced videos. But it's important, again, to have that welcome information. You want to make sure that when the student gets to the class, they don't have an empty announcement board. It's like walking into an empty class with nothing written on the board. We don't want that. We want them to feel welcome, to have that information before they log in. So that's usually, you have that class set up beforehand. Maybe any of that supplemental information that I talked about having on your syllabus, that maybe if you can't make the changes, or even having a supplemental syllabus, some clear expectations, what it's going to take to be successful in your class. The good thing is, it's a perpetual process. You should be saving these announcements. This one worked, this one didn't, this was a good one, this one was well written, this one was not. And you can reuse those in upcoming classes. And the more you have, you can have some maybe that are just general. These are all for this school, maybe about a late policy or a plagiarism policy, or maybe even have a pool of ones that it's just for this specific class. Here's a great article, or here's something that's related directly to this assignment. Whatever that you want, and maybe have those nicely organized on your computer where you can put those and you can refer back to those. So when you teach with the school again, you'll have that pool for the school. Hey, that kind of rhymes. Or you'll also have the ones, if you teach that specific class again, to use those again. So it's very important to keep a record of everything that you post. You know, some of them are going to be bad, and some of them are going to be really good. And you want to focus more on the good ones and keep those and learn from our mistakes. So having a good core of welcome announcements, supplemental information. Again, we don't want to inundate them, but we want to make sure all that information is clear. And it's a good place to be able to direct the students to say if they have a question, so they get in a habit. You can condition them to check the announcement board for any information about an assignment. They're emailing you about it, say, hey, check the announcement board. I just put an announcement on there, so they know next time maybe to look on the announcement board. So welcome information, supplemental information, this is where I put my welcome video, and we'll get into post-dating assignments and show you how to do that and the importance of that. It's a great time saver. Reuse those. Reuse those. It's very helpful to reuse those discussion boards and those postings, because you shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel every time that you teach a class. So keep this in the back of your mind when you're looking at announcements and how to progressively get better. Make sure you understand the expectations of the school, and that again, make sure that you proofread everything, have someone else read it out loud, do what you got to do to make sure it's clear and understandable to the students. So